Princess Nira paced the polished marble floors of her private chamber. The walls, lined with glowing crystalline panels, reflected her anger in sharp, flickering lights. Outside, the sky of Xiron's capital glowed with soft purple and blue streaks. But Nira barely noticed. Her mind was filled with one thought: she would never marry a human. "Father cannot make me do this," she muttered to herself. Her voice echoed in the large, empty room. She flung open the window and stared down at the palace gardens, where delicate alien flowers swayed in the evening breeze. Humans did not understand her people. They would never understand the pride of Xiron's, and yet her father had chosen one for her. One human, the Emperor, her father, had summoned her earlier that day. His expression was calm, almost gentle, but his words carried the weight of the galaxy. "Nira, this marriage is necessary," he had said. "The human worlds have grown strong. Our people can gain peace and trade if we unite." Nira had refused to speak, but inside, her anger had flared. How could her father think she could simply marry a human? She did not know their ways. Their appearance was strange to her eyes, their voices rough, their habits unfamiliar. She could not imagine sharing her life with someone so different. Now, alone in her chamber, she tried to calm herself, but her pride would not allow it. She stamped her foot. "I will not be forced," she whispered, her hands clenched into fists. "I will marry anyone else, anyone but a human." Her younger brother, Tavin, peeked into the chamber, his green eyes curious. "Sister, why are you so upset?" "Father only wants what is best for the Empire." Nira spun toward him, her violet eyes flashing. "Tavin, you do not understand. Humans are different. Their ways are strange. Their world is nothing like ours. I cannot marry one of them." Tavin stepped inside cautiously. "But sister, perhaps they are not as bad as you think. Humans have clever minds. They work together and value courage. Maybe this could be a chance to learn from them." Nira shook her head violently. "I will not learn from them. I will not." Before she could finish, a soft chime echoed through the room. The palace holoviewer activated, projecting a large, glowing image of the human envoy. He stood upright, wearing simple but neatly tailored clothing. His hair was brown, and his eyes were calm, focused, and steady. Nira's lips curled in disdain. "There he is," she muttered. "The human who dares to claim he can match a Xiron princess." The Emperor's voice sounded from the holoviewer. "Nira, meet Leo. He will soon arrive on Xiron to represent his people. Treat him with respect." "This is not a suggestion." Nira's fist tightened. "Respect," she said under her breath. "I do not owe him respect. Not yet." The image of Leo shifted slightly, and he bowed politely. "Princess Nira, it is an honor to meet you. I hope we can work together for the benefit of both our peoples." His calm tone made Nira's blood boil. How dare he speak so confidently? She wanted to shout, to tell him she would never accept this marriage, but she said nothing. Her pride told her silence would speak louder than words. Hours later, the news spread through the palace. The human envoy would arrive tomorrow. Nira wandered through the halls, ignoring the servants who bowed in greeting. She reached the royal gardens, where the flowers glowed softly under the moonlight. She touched the petals, feeling the cool energy run through them, but her mind was still troubled. "I cannot do this," she whispered to the wind. "I will marry anyone but him. I will fight for my choice." Her maid, Lyra, stepped out from the shadows, her long hair catching the light. "Princess, please calm yourself," she said gently. "The humans are not here to harm you. Perhaps you should give him a chance before you judge." Nira shook her head. "Lyra, you do not understand. My father wants this alliance, but I am a Xiron. I cannot marry a human, no matter what." Lyra sighed. "Princess, sometimes courage is not about fighting with anger. It is about seeing what is beyond your fear. I hope you remember that." Nira ignored the advice and walked away. She climbed the palace tower, looking down at the sprawling city below. Ships glided silently through the air, leaving bright trails of light. Humans had conquered space. Her father had said they were strong and in some ways necessary allies. But Nira's heart was stubborn. she would never bend. That night, sleep eluded her. She dreamt of stars and galaxies, of humans and Xyrans standing side by side. In the dream, she saw herself smiling at a human boy, laughing, and walking through a world that felt strange and new. She woke with a start, her heart racing. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "It is only a dream. I am Nira of Xyran. I will not fall for a human." The next morning, the palace was alive with excitement. Ships from across the galaxy were arriving. Humans and Xyrans alike walked through the halls, discussing alliances, trade, and peace. Nira stayed in her chamber, watching from the window as Leo stepped out of a sleek spacecraft. He was calm, moving with quiet confidence, and somehow he seemed aware of every detail around him. Her first instinct was to turn away, to retreat to the safety of her pride. But something in his presence drew her gaze. Perhaps it was the courage in his posture, or the peaceful way he observed the world. Nira could not explain it, and she refused to try. She whispered to herself, "I will not let him change me. I will fight my fate." As Leo's steps echoed through the marble halls below, Nira clenched her fists, determined. She would stand strong, proud of her heritage, and resist this human envoy with every fiber of her being. Yet, deep inside, a small voice whispered a question she refused to answer. Could humans truly be as different and weak as she thought? Nira shook her head, trying to banish the thought. She would not allow herself to wonder. Not yet. The story of the princess and the human had begun, and the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see whether pride or understanding would prevail. The sun rose over the Xyran capital, casting golden light over the crystalline towers and glowing streets. Princess Nira sat in her chamber, staring out of the wide window. Today was the day. The human envoy, Leo, would formally arrive at the palace. Her heart raced not from excitement, but from defiance. She would not allow herself to be impressed by a human. Outside, the air shimmered as a sleek spacecraft descended from the sky. Its surface reflected the morning sun, and tiny lights blinked along its hull. Servants and guards lined the palace courtyard, whispering to each other as the humans stepped out. Leo moved with calm precision, his posture straight and his gaze steady. He wore simple, dark clothing that marked him as different from the colorful Xyran attire, but his presence was dignified. Nira's first thought was disdain. "So this is the human my father wants me to marry," she muttered. "How could he think I would accept this?" Her maid, Lyra, entered quietly. "Princess, remember your father's instructions. You must be polite, at least for now." Nira waved her hand, unwilling to answer. Politeness was not her concern. She wanted to see if Leo was as arrogant as she imagined humans could be. The palace doors opened, and Leo was led into the grand hall. The marble floors sparkled beneath his feet, and alien banners hung from the walls. He bowed slightly to the emperor, who smiled warmly. "Welcome to Xyran, Leo," said the emperor. "I trust your journey was safe." Leo nodded calmly. "Yes, your majesty. The journey was smooth. I am honored to be here and ready to serve in any way I can." Nira watched from the balcony above. She expected a human to stumble, to look confused or fearful. Instead, he moved with confidence, every step measured. His calmness irritated her more than anything else. When the introductions were over, Leo was led to Nira's chamber for a private greeting. Nira prepared herself, straightening her robes and trying to hide her curiosity. She had to face him, if only to remind him that she would not be impressed. Leo entered, bowing slightly. "Princess Nira, it is an honor to meet you in person." Nira crossed her arms and looked down at him. "Do not think you can impress me simply by standing here, human," she said sharply. Leo did not flinch. Instead, he smiled politely. "I do not wish to impress you, princess. I only wish to show respect and understanding. I hope we can work together, even if we are different." Nira blinked, surprised. His tone was calm, not defensive. She expected arrogance, not respect. She frowned and turned away. "Understanding? Do you even know what it means to live among Xyrans? To follow our rules, our ways?" I have studied your culture as best I could, Leo replied. I may not understand everything, but I wish to learn. I believe we can find common ground if we try. Nira's violet eyes narrowed. His words were polite, but she could not help noticing his confidence. Most humans she had seen in hollow videos seemed clumsy, loud, or reckless. Leo was none of these. I will not allow you to assume you are equal to me, Nira said firmly. I am a Zyran princess. My people are proud, intelligent, and strong. You humans are different. Strange, Leo nodded. I am aware of our differences. I do not expect to replace your people or your ways. I only hope to contribute, to help both our worlds succeed. For a moment, Nira was speechless. He was not arrogant, not demanding, not foolish. He simply existed calmly in her presence, challenging her assumptions without conflict. She clenched her fists, feeling a mix of frustration and curiosity she did not want to admit to break the tension. Lyra spoke softly. Princess, perhaps you could show him the garden. It is customary to share your world with visitors. It may help him understand your people better. Nira hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. Very well, but do not expect me to be friendly. The three of them walked into the palace gardens, where alien plants glowed under the morning sun. Delicate vines curled around crystalline trees, and soft petals floated in the breeze. Leo observed everything carefully, touching the plants lightly and asking questions about their properties. This plant absorbs sunlight and releases a soft energy, Leo said quietly. Examining a blue flower. Does it provide power to the palace? Yes, Nira replied, surprised that he understood so quickly. It does. Most humans would not notice this. They only see flowers, not energy. Leo smiled. I try to see the deeper connections in all things. Your world is remarkable, Princess. I hope to learn more. Nira felt a small flicker of respect. He was intelligent and observant, but she shook her head. Do not think this will change my opinion of humans. You are clever, yes, but I still do not trust you. You're not one of us. Leo's expression remained calm. I do not wish to replace anyone. I only wish to show that humans can be allies, friends even. If allowed, Nira walked past him, trying to hide her interest. Allies, friends, that is easy to say when you are far from your people. But marriage is not a duty you can simply learn about. Leo looked at her thoughtfully. Perhaps not, but I am willing to learn. Princess, if you allow me. Nira's heart beat faster. She hated that she was intrigued. His words were simple, yet honest. He did not demand her affection. He did not mock her. He simply offered understanding. The garden walk continued, with Nira leading and Leo observing carefully. He asked questions about the palace, the Zyran traditions, and even the Emperor's policies. Each time, he spoke respectfully and thoughtfully. Nira found herself answering more freely than she expected, and a small part of her admired his patience. Finally, she stopped near a crystal fountain that reflected the sun in bright, dancing lights. You see, human, this is our world. It is not easy to understand. You cannot simply blend in or become one of us. Leo nodded. I do not wish to blend in. I wish to understand and respect. That is all I ask. Nira looked away, hiding the flicker of curiosity in her eyes. Perhaps time will tell if humans are capable of more than I imagined. But do not expect me to change my mind about marriage. I will marry anyone. But you? Leo smiled gently. I understand, Princess. I will not rush you. I only hope to earn your trust. Nira turned sharply and walked back to the palace. She did not want to admit it, but the calm confidence of the human envoy had unsettled her. He was clever, respectful, and brave, not what she expected. And yet, she refused to let that thought linger. As the sun set over Zyran's capital, Nira stared out of her window once more. Leo had arrived. He had met her, and though she would never admit it aloud, a small, uneasy curiosity had begun to grow within her. The princess of Zyran would fight her fate, as she had always done. But something about this human envoy, this Leo, was different, and the galaxy would soon see whether pride, courage, or understanding would prevail. The next morning, The palace was alive with movement. Zyran nobles, dressed in bright robes of swirling colors, moved through the halls with graceful precision. Princess Nira walked among them with a firm stride, her violet eyes sharp. Today, she would show Leo that the ways of Zyrans were not easy for outsiders to understand. Leo, the human envoy, followed politely behind her. He had spent the morning observing the palace customs, trying not to make mistakes. He bowed when appropriate, spoke clearly, and adapted his gestures to match those of the Zyrans. Nira noticed everything he did, and though she would never admit it, she was curious about his ability to follow their strict traditions. Leo, Nira said sharply, as they approached a group of elders, you must remember, a Zyran's honor is not the same as a human's. One misstep can cause great offense. Do not take this lightly. Leo nodded respectfully. I understand, Princess. I will do my best. Their first test came when they entered the grand dining hall for a formal breakfast. The table was long, carved from crystal and decorated with glowing fruits and delicate dishes. Each seat had specific placement rules, and even a slight mistake could be seen as disrespect. Nira watched Leo carefully. He paused, studying the arrangement, then placed himself correctly without hesitation. The elders exchanged surprised glances. Nira's lips tightened. He had done well, but it was only the first test. During the meal, Nira observed him again. He ate slowly, following Zyran customs. But he also asked polite questions about the food and its purpose. His curiosity was natural, not mocking. Nira felt a small sting of surprise. Most humans she had seen in holo videos would have ignored the customs entirely. You ask too many questions, Nira said, trying to sound annoyed. Do you not trust that this is how things are done? Leo smiled faintly. I ask because I wish to understand, Princess. I do not wish to offend or appear ignorant. Nira turned away, pretending not to notice the faint admiration she felt. Her pride demanded that she maintain her distance, yet she could not stop observing him. He was clever, respectful, and unafraid, qualities that were rare even among Zyrans. After breakfast, the Emperor had planned a demonstration of human technology for the court. Humans had developed machines that could navigate space with precision, and Leo was asked to explain one such device to the audience. Nira's first thought was that it would be boring, that humans could not impress Zyrans. But as Leo spoke, his words were clear, simple, and confident. He demonstrated the machine's functions, showing how it could protect both human and Zyran ships from danger. The nobles watched in astonishment. Nira felt her hands clench at her sides. She had not expected humans to be clever in ways other than strength or numbers. Leo's intelligence was calm, precise, and practical. She looked away, unwilling to show that she was impressed. After the demonstration, the court gathered in the palace garden for a walking discussion. Nira led the way, speaking about Zyran traditions, laws, and customs. Leo listened carefully, asking questions when appropriate. His attention to detail surprised even the most skeptical elders. You see, human, Nira said, stopping near a glowing tree, our world is not simple. We follow rules, honor, and duties that are centuries old. You cannot simply adapt overnight. I understand, Princess, Leo replied. I'm not trying to replace your customs. I wish only to learn and respect them. Perhaps in time, I can understand better. Nira frowned. Time is not something I easily give, and understanding does not mean approval. You may learn our ways, but that does not mean you can be equal to us. Leo smiled faintly, as if he expected her words. I do not wish to be equal. I wish to be a partner in friendship and trust. That is all I ask. Despite herself, Nira felt a small warmth at his words. She shook her head to dispel the feeling. She would not let him see that she was curious or impressed. The afternoon brought another challenge. The Emperor arranged a training exercise in the palace arena. Zyrans were known for their agility and strength, and even the smallest slip could be seen as weakness. Nira moved gracefully through the exercises, her body strong and precise. Leo joined, following instructions carefully. He was not as fast or as flexible as a Zyran, but he used strategy and observation. He predicted movements, avoided mistakes, and completed the exercises with accuracy. The crowd murmured with surprise. Nira's pride felt threatened. She could not deny that he was clever. Humans were not simply weak or unskilled. They had other strengths: thinking, planning. Observing that even some Zyrans lacked, after the exercises, Nira confronted him privately. Human, you are competent, but do not think this changes anything. I will not admire you, and I will not trust you easily. Leo looked at her calmly. I do not seek admiration, princess. I seek understanding. Trust may come later. If Nira's violet eyes narrowed. He was patient, respectful, and unafraid of her sharp words. She wanted to test him further, to see if he could remain steady under pressure. Yet she could not deny that he had impressed her in ways she would never admit. As evening approached, Nira walked alone to the palace balcony. The city below glowed with lights that shimmered like stars. Ships moved through the sky, carrying people from worlds far beyond her own. She thought of Leo and the day they had shared. He was clever, respectful, and brave in ways that humans were not supposed to be. She had expected clumsiness, arrogance, or fear, but he had none of these. Instead, he had remained calm, patient, and observant. Nira's pride whispered that she must resist him, that she must fight against her curiosity and growing respect. Yet, deep inside, a small thought had begun to take root. Perhaps humans were more capable than she had believed. She clenched her fists and turned away from the balcony. She would not admit it aloud, not yet. She would continue to resist, to test him, to challenge his patience. The alliance was her father's duty, not hers, and she would not be made to accept it without question. But the first crack in her stubborn pride had appeared, and in the quiet of the palace, under the glowing lights of Zyron's towers, Nira felt a strange mixture of frustration and curiosity she could not easily ignore. The human envoy was clever, patient, and strong in ways she had never seen. And though she would not yet trust him fully, she knew that the coming days would test both their skills, their patience, and their understanding of each other. The Princess of Zyron had begun her struggle not just against a human, but against her own assumptions and pride. And the galaxy would soon watch as she faced choices that would shape the future of both worlds. The peace of the Zyron capital was shattered in the early hours of the morning. Alarms echoed through the crystalline halls, and the palace vibrated as sirens blared. Princess Nira woke instantly, her violet eyes wide with concern. Something was wrong. Her father, the Emperor, appeared at her chamber doorway, his expression tense. Nira, an external faction has approached our borders. They are hostile, and they threaten the safety of Zyron. Nira's heart raced. She had expected challenges, but not an attack so soon. How serious is it? She asked sharply. Very serious, the Emperor replied. Our defenses will hold, but we must be prepared for negotiations or battle. Leo, the human envoy, is already assisting with strategy. Nira's first instinct was irritation. Humans were strangers in her world, yet here one was, already helping defend it. She shook her head, refusing to let herself feel concerned. Still, curiosity nudged at her. How could a human contribute to the defense of an entire empire? She left her chamber and moved quickly to the command room, where Leo was already standing. Before a large hall map, his posture was calm, yet focused. Zyron officers and nobles crowded the room, discussing tactics in rapid bursts of alien language. Leo spoke in measured tones, his voice clear even over the noise. We must secure the outer defense points first, he said, pointing at locations on the map. If we do not, their ships will breach our perimeter before reinforcements can arrive. Nira watched him carefully. His suggestions were practical and precise. He had studied Zyron defense systems and knew their strengths and weaknesses. Her pride flared. How could a human know so much about Zyron technology in so little time? One of the senior commanders glanced at Nira and whispered, Princess, the human is surprisingly knowledgeable. He may help us more than anyone expected. Nira clenched her fists. I do not care about anyone's opinion. I will see for myself. The battle preparations began at once. Ships moved from the hangars. their sleek designs reflecting the soft glow of the morning sky. Zyran warriors readied their armor and weapons, while humans observed and assisted where needed. Nira was placed beside Leo to monitor the defensive grid. She studied his movements closely, expecting mistakes or hesitation. But he remained calm, issuing instructions clearly and efficiently. "You are unusually composed," Nira said, unable to hide a flicker of surprise. Most humans would panic in this situation. Leo glanced at her briefly. "Fear does not help us, Princess. Calmness and preparation do. That is what will keep your people safe." Nira turned away, feeling both frustrated and intrigued. His confidence was quiet, not boastful. He was not trying to impress anyone. He simply focused on the task, and yet he did it with skill and intelligence. As the day progressed, Zyran scouts reported the approach of enemy ships. They were fast and numerous, dark shadows against the glowing sky. Nira's pulse quickened. This was the first real test, not a simple demonstration, but a true threat to her home. Leo worked alongside the Zyran officers, adjusting defense strategies as new information came in. Nira noticed that he was not commanding, but collaborating. He listened, adapted, and suggested improvements in a way that earned the respect of even the most skeptical nobles. When the enemy ships came into view, the palace gates and defense towers were ready. Nira watched as her people moved with precision, following both their traditions and Leo's advice. She realized that humans could contribute in ways she had never imagined, not with strength alone, but with insight and intelligence. A sudden warning blared through the command room. One of the enemy ships had bypassed the outer shields and was heading toward the palace directly. Nira's heart skipped a beat. The ship's weapons glowed with dangerous energy, and she could see the fear in some of the younger guards. Without thinking, Leo moved to the tactical console. "Redirect the energy barriers to the palace perimeter. Focus the defense on that trajectory. I will coordinate the interceptors." Nira felt a strange mixture of irritation and admiration. How could a human remain so calm in the face of such danger? She wanted to shout, to take control herself, but she also knew that Leo was right. She had to trust him, at least for this moment. The interceptors fired, their energy beams colliding with the enemy ship. Explosions lit up the sky in bursts of blue and gold. Nira's eyes widened. The battle was fierce, but the palace defenses were holding. The human envoy was helping Zyran survive, something she had never expected to see. When the last enemy ship was pushed back, the palace erupted in cheers. Zyran warriors clapped, and even the emperor allowed himself a small smile. Nira's mind was spinning. Leo had helped protect her home, her people, and her family, and he had done it calmly, wisely, without any desire for recognition. Later, Nira found Leo alone in the gardens, inspecting a glowing plant that had been damaged by energy blasts. "You saved the palace today," she said, her voice quiet but firm. Leo looked at her calmly. "I only did what was necessary, Princess. Your people's safety was my priority." Nira shook her head. "I should be angry. I should feel distrust, and yet," she trailed off, frustrated by her own thoughts, "you were clever, patient, and capable. I cannot ignore that, even if I want to." Leo smiled faintly. "I did not ask for your approval, Princess. I only ask that you see humans as capable of more than you expected." For the first time, Nira felt a shift in her feelings. She was still determined not to trust him fully, but she could not deny that humans had skills, courage, and intelligence worthy of respect. The emperor approached, placing a gentle hand on Nira's shoulder. "I am proud of you, Nira. You observed, you learned, and you acted wisely. And as for Leo, he has proven himself to our people." Nira nodded, her pride still intact but tinged with new awareness. The human envoy had challenged her assumptions, not through confrontation, but through action and calm intelligence. That night, Nira sat on her balcony, watching the stars twinkle above the palace. The city below was peaceful again, but the memory of the day's events remained. She thought of Leo, the calm human who had helped save her people without demanding anything in return. "I still will not marry him easily," she whispered to herself, "but perhaps humans are not as weak or strange as I believed. For the first time, a small curiosity stirred in her heart. She did not fully trust him, and she would not allow herself to like him yet. But she knew that the days ahead would challenge her beliefs, her pride, and her understanding of courage, friendship, and trust. The galaxy beyond Zyron's skies was vast and full of dangers. But with clever minds like Leo's and brave hearts like Nira's, the future held hope. And as she gazed at the stars, the Princess of Zyron realized that her journey had only just begun. The morning light spilled across the palace courtyard. As Princess Nira prepared for the day's mission, word had arrived that a distant planet, home to a neighboring alliance, faced a crisis. Nira and Leo were tasked to negotiate peace and assess the situation. It was the first mission that required them to work closely outside the safety of Zyron's capital. Nira adjusted her robes, her violet eyes sharp and determined. "I do not need a human by my side," she said firmly to Lyra, her loyal maid. "I am a Zyron princess. I have handled difficult matters alone before." Lyra placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Princess, sometimes strength comes from accepting help. Even someone different may prove useful." Nira shook her head. "I will not rely on him. I will lead, and he will follow my instructions." Still, she could not hide her unease. Leo was already waiting near the transport shuttle, his posture calm and confident as always. He greeted her with a respectful bow. "Princess Nira, I hope we can work well together today. Our mission is important, and every decision may affect many lives." Nira crossed her arms. "I do not need reminders. Human, stay alert and follow my lead." The shuttle launched smoothly into the violet sky, leaving the capital behind. As they traveled, Nira observed Leo quietly. He studied the maps and data, asking careful questions. He was not impatient or disrespectful. He did not try to dominate her decisions, yet he offered suggestions based on logic and observation. When they arrived at the troubled planet, the scene was grim. Cities were damaged, and panic spread among the local inhabitants. Nira felt a pang of concern but hid it behind her pride. She focused on strategy, assessing which areas needed help first. Leo knelt to inspect the damage and spoke softly to local leaders. "We need to organize shelters, secure energy, and ensure that medical aid reaches everyone quickly. If we divide tasks efficiently, more people will be safe." Nira's eyes narrowed. He was clever and practical, but she refused to let herself feel impressed. "Do not forget your place, human. We are here as Zyrons. You are only assisting." Leo nodded without offense. "Understood, Princess. I will assist where I can." Their first challenge came quickly. A structural collapse trapped several civilians in a damaged building. Nira's heart raced, but she moved with determination. She instructed the rescue teams, while Leo analyzed the debris and suggested a safe path to reach the trapped people. "Follow me," Leo said, pointing to a narrow passage. "It may seem risky, but this route avoids unstable sections. Your team can reach them faster and safely." Nira studied his plan. It was logical, precise, and effective. Reluctantly, she gave the order to proceed. The rescue went smoothly, and all the civilians were brought out safely. Nira felt a strange mix of irritation and admiration. He had saved lives without seeking recognition, without showing arrogance. For the first time, she wondered if humans could truly be valuable allies not just in diplomacy, but in action. The mission continued. Nira and Leo worked side by side, negotiating with local leaders, organizing aid, and resolving conflicts. Nira noticed that he was patient, calm, and wise beyond what she had expected. She had always believed humans were weaker, less capable, and slower to think. Yet here was Leo, proving her assumptions wrong at every step. By the time the sun began to set, the planet was calmer. Food, water, and medical aid had reached the most vulnerable, and the leaders expressed gratitude. Nira could not deny the effectiveness of their combined efforts. "Princess," Leo said gently, "you led with strength and clarity. The people responded to your guidance. Together, we accomplished more than either of us could alone." Nira looked away, hiding the flicker of admiration in her eyes. Perhaps, but do not expect me to trust humans fully. You are clever, yes, but trust is earned, not given. Leo smiled faintly. I understand. I am willing to earn it. As they returned to the shuttle, Nira felt a subtle shift in her thoughts. She could not admit it aloud, but she had seen courage, intelligence, and compassion in a human trait she had thought were unique to Zyrans. Back in the shuttle, Nira remained silent, reflecting on the day. Leo studied the maps again, offering quiet suggestions for the return route. She watched him, her mind torn. His calmness, wisdom, and patience had challenged everything she believed about humans. Finally, she spoke softly, almost to herself. I did not like admitting this, but perhaps humans are more capable than I imagined. Leo glanced at her, sensing her honesty without pressing further. He simply nodded, focusing on their journey. When they returned to the Zyran capital, the Emperor was waiting. Nira, Leo, he said warmly, I hear your mission was a success. The people of that planet speak highly of your efforts. Well done. Nira bowed, feeling a mix of pride and reluctant respect. Thank you, Father, she said. She looked at Leo briefly, acknowledging silently that his contributions had been vital. Later, in the quiet of her chamber, Nira reflected on the events. She had worked closely with a human and seen his courage, intelligence, and calm leadership. Her pride resisted the thought, but she could not deny the impact of his actions. I still will not marry him easily, she whispered, but perhaps I must see humans differently. I must understand them before I can make my choice. For the first time, Nira considered that humans were not simply strangers or weak allies. They were capable, clever, and courageous in ways that could complement her own people, and Leo, the human envoy, had proven himself to be a partner in action, thought, and decision. The night sky above Zyran shimmered with countless stars, each one a reminder of the vast galaxy and the challenges ahead. Nira knew that her journey of understanding and trust was only beginning. She would resist, she would question, and she would test the human envoy. But she also knew that something in him had changed the way she saw the universe. And as she gazed at the stars, a quiet thought entered her mind. Perhaps the galaxy was not so simple, and perhaps humans were not so easy to dismiss. The princess of Zyran had faced a turning point. Pride, duty, and curiosity were all intertwined, and the coming days would test her courage, her beliefs, and her ability to accept the unexpected. The morning sun cast golden light over Zyran's capital. As Princess Nira walked through the palace gardens, the air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of alien blossoms. The events of the past days weighed on her mind. She had witnessed courage, intelligence, and patience in the human envoy, Leo. She refused to admit it aloud, but a quiet curiosity had begun to grow within her. Leo was waiting near the crystalline fountain, reviewing reports from the outer colonies. He looked up as Nira approached and gave a respectful nod. Good morning, Princess. I hope your rest was peaceful. Nira folded her arms, her violet eyes bright with determination. I did not require a human to ask about my rest, but yes, it was adequate. Now, we have work to do. Leo smiled faintly. Understood, Princess. I am ready to assist as needed. Their task today was to strengthen alliances with nearby planets. Zyran's influence was vast, but the Emperor wished to secure loyalty and trade agreements. Nira led the planning, while Leo offered strategic advice and insight into negotiation tactics. As they traveled through the fleet, Nira observed Leo quietly. His calm demeanor and thoughtful approach impressed her, even though she refused to acknowledge it. He did not dominate the discussions, but he contributed when appropriate. His suggestions were practical, careful, and often improved the plan she had made. You are clever. Human, Nira said abruptly as they walked through the command deck. I did not expect your ideas to be so effective. Leo glanced at her, his calm eyes steady. I am glad they are useful, Princess. My goal is to support you and your people, not to compete. Nira's lips pressed into a thin line. His humility irritated her, but she also felt an unfamiliar respect. Perhaps humans were capable of more than she had assumed. She pushed the thought aside, unwilling to admit it fully. Their first stop was a small trade planet. Known for its precious minerals, local leaders greeted them warmly. But the discussions quickly became tense. Disagreements arose over trade quotas and protection. Agreements. Nira's initial approach was firm, emphasizing Xiron's strength and tradition. Leo, however, offered alternative solutions that balanced fairness and efficiency. Princess Nira. Leo suggested quietly, if we adjust the quota slightly, the leaders will see that Xyrons respect their contribution. This may prevent conflict and strengthen loyalty. Nira studied his words. It was a reasonable proposal, and she realized it could save time and prevent resentment. Reluctantly, she gave a nod. Very well. Proceed as you suggest. Human, Leo, executed the plan calmly. The local leaders responded positively, and tension eased. Nira could not deny that his approach had worked. She felt a strange mix of frustration and admiration as they continued their mission. Nira noticed other qualities in Leo. He listened carefully to everyone, showing respect even when disagreements arose. He never raised his voice, and he never belittled others. His patience and understanding seemed endless, and it challenged Nira's assumptions about humans. During a pause in the negotiations, Nira and Leo walked through a quiet corridor lined with glowing panels. She glanced at him. Cautiously, you are different from what I expected. Humans are usually impulsive, quick to anger, or careless. Yet I am not all humans, Leo said gently. But I believe we can learn from each other. Your world is remarkable, and your people are wise. I hope to understand more each day. Nira's pride flared. She did not want to feel impressed or grateful, yet a small warmth rose in her chest. Do not assume your calmness will make me trust you easily. Trust is earned over time, Leo nodded, accepting her words without argument. I will earn it, Princess. I have no other desire. The mission continued successfully. Nira and Leo resolved disputes, secured trade agreements, and even coordinated relief efforts for planets affected by recent conflicts. Each time, Nira observed his methods and noted his intelligence, patience, and courage. She still resisted full admiration, but the cracks in her assumptions were growing. By the time they returned to Xiron, the fleet was greeted with celebrations. The Emperor praised Nira for her leadership and Leo for his contributions. Nira bowed, politely, hiding the acknowledgement that she owed some of their success to the human envoy. Later, in the quiet of the palace garden, Nira found Leo tending to a damaged plant. He worked carefully, his hands gentle and precise. She approached him silently, observing his attention to detail. You are meticulous, she said softly. Even in small tasks, you show care and patience. Leo looked up and smiled faintly. Every task matters, Princess. Small actions can have large consequences. Nira nodded. Considering his words, she realized that this human had qualities she respected: patience, intelligence, courage, and a willingness to learn. She still resisted full trust, but she could no longer deny his value. As the sun set over Xiron's capital, Nira and Leo stood side by side, watching the glowing towers and shimmering streets. The city was peaceful, but their minds were focused on the challenges of the future. I will not admit it aloud, Nira whispered, but you have changed my perspective. Humans are capable, clever, and brave, and you are patient, respectful, and wise. Leo simply nodded, understanding her meaning without pushing further. He did not demand praise or acknowledgement. He only continued to act with care and intelligence, earning her respect in silence. That night, as Nira prepared for rest, she reflected on the day's events. She realized that her assumptions about humans had been incomplete. They were not weak, impulsive, or careless. They were capable of courage, intelligence, and wisdom, qualities that could complement her people. I still will not marry him easily, she whispered to herself. But perhaps I must learn to see humans as allies, friends, and equals before I make any decision. For the first time, Nira felt a quiet trust forming, small but growing. She knew it would take time, patience, and careful observation. She was still proud, still stubborn, but the human envoy had earned a place in her thoughts and respect. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and unknown worlds, but Nira understood that courage, intelligence, and understanding could build bridges between different peoples, and in Leo, she had found a partner who demonstrated these qualities in every action. The Princess of Zion had begun to open her heart, carefully, cautiously, and with pride intact, she still resisted complete trust, but she had learned that strength could come in unexpected forms and that humans were not so easy to dismiss. The stars above Zion's capital shone brighter than ever, reflecting the city's sparkling towers. Princess Nira stood on the palace balcony, her violet eyes gazing at the vast galaxy beyond. The events of the past days had changed her. She had witnessed courage, intelligence, and patience in the human envoy, Leo. She had seen him act selflessly to protect her people and to negotiate peace. And now, she faced a choice that would shape the future of her life and the alliance between Zyrans and humans. Leo approached quietly, his calm presence a comfort after the day's challenges. Princess Nira, he said softly, are you ready to discuss the next phase of the alliance? Nira turned, meeting his steady gaze. Yes, but this is more than a simple discussion of treaties and trade. It is about trust, human, and trust is not given easily. Leo nodded, understanding her meaning. I did not expect it to be. Trust is earned, and I am willing to continue earning it, as long as you allow me to. Nira studied him silently. His calm confidence and honesty had unsettled her in ways she did not expect. She had always believed humans were impulsive, careless, and weak, but Leo had proven otherwise. He had demonstrated intelligence, patience, courage, and respect, and she had seen firsthand how these qualities could save lives, protect her people, and resolve conflicts. You have changed my perspective, she admitted quietly. I still resist fully trusting humans, but you have earned a place in my thoughts and my respect. Leo smiled faintly. That is all I ask, Princess. Respect and understanding can grow over time. Friendship can follow naturally. Nira nodded, feeling a mix of pride and curiosity. She was still determined not to be swayed easily, but she could no longer dismiss him or his people. They were capable of courage, intelligence, and loyalty, qualities that mirrored the best of Zyrans. The Emperor appeared at the balcony, observing the two. Nira, Leo, he said, his voice gentle. I have watched your partnership grow. The success of our missions and the strengthening of alliances speak for themselves. You have shown wisdom, courage, and understanding. And you, Leo, have proven that humans can be true allies of Zyrans. Nira bowed her head slightly. Thank you, Father. I have seen the truth of his abilities. Leo inclined his head respectfully. Your people's wisdom has guided me as well, Princess. I have learned much from observing your leadership and decisions. The Emperor smiled, his eyes glinting with pride. Then it is time to look forward to the future. The galaxy is vast and full of challenges, but together, humans and Zyrans can face them successfully. Nira and Leo exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. The foundation of trust had been laid, and now the next step was possible. Days passed as the alliance work continued. Nira observed Leo closely, noting his patience and intelligence in negotiations, his calm guidance in difficult situations, and his courage in facing danger. Each day, her respect and quiet admiration grew. She realized that humans were not only capable, but they could also complement Zyrans in ways that strengthened both peoples. One evening, as they reviewed reports of trade agreements and planetary aid, Nira spoke softly. Leo, I admit, I had many assumptions about humans. I believed you were weak, reckless, and unworthy of trust, but you have proven me wrong. You are clever, brave, and patient. You have saved lives, resolved conflicts, and earned respect not through words, but through action. Leo listened, his calm eyes steady. Thank you, Princess. I only wish to act in ways that supported your people and your leadership. Nira hesitated, then continued. I still will not marry easily. My pride and duty remain. But I am willing to consider the possibility, if only because you have shown qualities I never expected in a human. Leo's expression remained gentle. I understand, Princess. I will not rush or demand. I only hope to continue proving that humans can be trusted and valued as allies, and perhaps more. In time, Nira looked out at the galaxy, the countless stars reflecting the endless possibilities ahead. She thought of the battles, the negotiations, and the lives saved with his help. She thought of the lessons learned and the quiet moments that had shown her patience. Intelligence and courage were universal qualities not limited to Zyrans. For the first time, she felt a sense of calm certainty. She did not need to surrender her pride, nor did she need to make a final choice immediately. Trust, respect, and understanding were the first steps towards something greater, and Leo had earned each of them. Very well, she said finally, her voice steady. I will observe, learn, and consider. But know this, I will not give my heart lightly. You must continue to earn my respect and trust, as you have begun to do. Leo bowed slightly, his eyes reflecting sincerity. I accept your terms, Princess. I will continue to earn your trust, day by day, through actions and honesty. The Emperor watched silently, pleased with the progress. Then the future is bright, Nira. Your people, your allies, and even the humans have shown that cooperation, courage, and understanding can unite worlds. You have taken the first step toward bridging differences and building a stronger galaxy. As the night deepened, Nira and Leo stood side by side on the balcony, gazing at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of challenges, adventures, and opportunities. But they were no longer strangers. They were partners, careful, patient, and strong in their resolve. Nira felt a quiet hope growing within her. Perhaps humans were not so strange or incapable. Perhaps pride and trust could coexist. And perhaps, in time, she could see Leo not only as an ally, but as someone who had changed her world and her perspective forever. The Princess of Zyran had faced her assumptions, her pride, and her fears. She had witnessed courage, intelligence, and patience in a human, and she had begun to accept that trust, respect, and friendship could grow even across the boundaries of worlds. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown challenges, but Nira felt ready, with allies like Leo, her people, and the countless stars above. She knew that the future held hope, strength, and the possibility of something extraordinary. And as she stood beside the human envoy, the two of them silently understood that their journey together had only just begun. One built on respect, trust, and the courage to face the galaxy side by side. The story of the Princess of Zyran and the human envoy had reached a turning point. Pride, courage, and understanding had met patience, intelligence, and action, and together they would shape a future where the galaxy could witness the true power of cooperation between species and the limitless potential of those willing to trust, learn, and grow together.